So a few years ago, I was at the Burning Man, the beautiful festival in Nevada, and I saw this booth called Talk to God. Now let's not get religious, but I'm sure you're curious, right? How many of you will pick up this landline kind of phone and talk to God on the other side, right? And if you had picked up the phone that year, the voice of God on the other side had a thick Indian accent, and that was me, right? And so for several days, I saw our fellow Americans, ordinary citizens, pouring their heart out, talking about all their pain and sufferings and ambitions. And it was a very moving experience for me to hear all these stories. But as a scientist, what I realized is that why are all these people telling me things they wouldn't tell me otherwise? And why are they trusting in me about going and solving their problem? And when I came back to MIT, what I realized is that what we really need is a trusted, honest, impartial broker, which is their definition of God, but of course not being religious about it, but we kind of need a newfangled AI, a God-like AI, to do this orchestration. And some of you would say there are already a few examples of gods in our life, like who here uses Google Maps or Waze, right? And we willingly give away our GPS location, and the gods of traffic, which is Waze or Google, not only tells me what the traffic density is, but tells everybody else about what they should do, right? And kind of guides us with this God's eye view over traffic. You would also argue that systems like ChatGPT are kind of also the gods of the public information on the internet. So why do we need something else? I guess, but they're only tapping information that's available without a login and a password, right? Wikipedia pages, books, and so on. What we need is that deep down information that's hidden, well below that surface in the deep web. And that's where decentralized AI comes in. So this is information from clinical trials, from our photo rolls, in supply chain data, and so on, under simulations. So how are we going to get to this decentralized AI? And for that, we need AI to behave not just like an assistant, but as an engineer and also as a scientist. So I'm going to give you two quick examples in decentralization of AI. The first one is a shopping AI copilot. Now, my daughter's birthday is coming up next week, and who here gets excited about, kind of arranging a themed birthday party for a loved one? And how many people get stressed out? I'm definitely get stressed out. And the reason for that is if I go to a local shop, they're trying to sell me a product. I have to construct in my head, what this event is going to look like. What I really want is for them to buy my need. Saying, hey, my daughter's birthday is coming up next week, give me the right stuff. And what should really happen is, let's say in this case is Target. Target should open my phone, look at my photo roll, look at my daughter's pictures, and see, is she a Swiftie? Does she like Star Wars or something else? And then also look at the photo rolls of all my friends, where she has gone to her friends' birthday parties, and see what kind of parties has she liked, right? And then go and talk to the vendors of Target to say, hey, can they get different themed, what's the supply chain of different themed birthday parties? And then bring that information back, and they already have a 3D model of my house and my backyard, and I can hold my phone, and with generative video, I can see my daughter laughing and playing, and gives me three options, $100, $500, $1,000. I click on one, and 3 days later, all the material just gets delivered to my house in about 10 seconds. So to get this decentralization going, of course, we have to solve a whole range of computer science problems. Let's take another one. Now we want AI to behave more like a scientist, maybe find the best cure. And the challenge to go from AI as an assistant to AI as a scientist is that when the gap between simulation and reality is huge, you cannot do it on a computer. We have to go and sample in the real world, right? And the reason why this might happen are two major trends that are intersecting. First is this new revolution in AI PCs, where there'll be enough compute on the edges, where maybe a few hundred megabytes, a gigabyte model that will shrink very soon, can run on your home computer, very soon your home laptop, and your phones. This is what happened in the 80s and 90s when we moved away from mainframes and supercomputers to a distributed internet. And the second one is that all of us, there'll be 8 billion digital twins of each of us on Earth, and they'll be bidding and they'll be doing a lot of intelligent transactions on our behalf. So when you take these two trends and intersect them, suddenly AI can start behaving like a scientist. So let's look at this picture, right? So on the horizontal axis, we're looking at how things get more and more intelligent. So today's AI, and with personal agents, they'll get better and better. But unless they get networked, unless they start talking to each other, they're not going to get emergent. They're not going to start doing amazingly new things. So what we can do is we can take two paths. We can wait for them to become smarter and smarter, like what we're doing now, or we can take another parallel approach, scientifically in the startup world, which is take simple agents and let them start to talking to each other. That's kind of the path at the top. But either way, we'll get to the top right, which is a decentralization of millions and billions of, in beginning, semi-smart, but over time, very smart agents talking to each other. Okay? So just think about that. All your home PCs, all your home laptops, are talking to each other. And there's Sarah in rural Texas. She has chest pain. She thinks she has long COVID. Her family has history of lung cancer, and she's just not getting a good response from her, good help from her doctors. So imagine her doctor can just go on our decentralized AI system and say, hey, here are the X-rays and radiology pathology reports of Sarah for $10. Can you find me the best answer? Okay? And again, if you had the God's eye view, if you had the God AI, what would happen is we would take millions of petabytes of information of anybody who had long COVID and chest pain and lung issues, and take that millions of petabytes of data, train the best machine learning model that itself will cost $1 million, and then take that $10, which is not much money, and reward the people whose data or models were used, and eventually create an Expedia-like experience where you can say, Sarah, if you want a more aggressive treatment or less aggressive treatment, or stay in rural Texas, or go to Houston for other options, we can give her this highly interpretable answer. So if you have God's eye view, if you have this God AI, actually one would argue that we can solve healthcare overnight. Of course, the reality is that we don't have this God AI, and we cannot centralize this millions of petabytes of data because of trade secrets, because of privacy. We cannot run best models. We just don't have enough compute. And how do we even give away $10? That's not enough money. So how do we create God AI? So what we need to do is take the GOD and make it a global orchestration of decentralized AI. And many of us associate decentralization with the very scammy world of cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance and so on. What can we do? Sometimes, innovation and hyper-financialization takes place in wrong order. But a lot of good techniques in computer science, in distributed computing, have already been developed in the Web3 era. And what we need to do is upgrade them for decentralized AI. So a lot of the good work has already been done in computer science. So let's look at these 4 columns very briefly. First is we need to go from pseudo-anonymity to privacy tech. We talked about how on Google Maps, we willingly give away our GPS locations, so no privacy for us, but we get amazing utility in terms of traffic density. But when it comes to issues like health, we are not willing to do that, and that's why we have very low utility. So we had to kind of break this duality. And so there's a lot of good work happening here at MIT. So for example, Google is using techniques like federated learning. Here at MIT, in my group, we invented a scheme called split learning. And all these schemes can allow you to do AI on data that you cannot see. And the basic idea behind these techniques is you share wisdom from that data, but do not look at the raw data. The second is take the blockchain ledger technologies and use that for verifiable decentralized AI. And take concepts like hashing and proof of work, but now we apply that to AI because how do you know that the PC sitting there in Philippines who's negotiating with me has trained the right model, even has the right data, and the model it's serving me is the one that was trained on the right kind of data. So we need cryptographic watermarking in all these mechanisms. This is a fantastic area of research that my group is excited about. The third is we need some kind of a data market. We need an ability to say, hey, your data is worth $10. Your data might be worth actually $1,000. Because somebody who has comorbidities, their data may be worth much more than a healthy person. And of course, but we cannot copy the data over, because that would be problematic. So how do I evaluate the dollar value of the data without looking at it? And so again, we have to send cryptographic puzzles to this data source, and once they solve it, based on those answers, we can specify the dollar value. Another very exciting area of research in my group. And finally, we need some kind of a crowd X. And unlike FTX, the previous exchanges, we need completely different types of crowd X that does orchestration between all these agents and discovery and visualization and, of course, the decision support. And this is a non-trivial problem to solve and made a lot of smart people to start working on this. Of course, why do decentralized AI when companies are raising billions of dollars, I heard sometimes trillions of dollars, to solve AI anyway? The problem is, if everything gets centralized, data, compute, talent, and even governance, we won't have innovation at the edges. So in any economy, we need this decentralization. And second, a lot of the issues about responsible AI and safety AI will get solved when we have not the singular entities working on it, but plurality of checks and balances. Of course, the risk is that algorithmic orchestration can have catastrophic failures, like Luna and Terra and FTX. And of course, in the world of AI, bad actors can introduce malicious data or malicious models and so on, right? So there are a lot of security and safety issues we have to solve to unleash decentralized AI. And of course, when you have a multi-sided economy, just like in health, you will see the same problems in other parts of our world. So anywhere you see multi-sided marketplaces, decentralization can start helping us through private aggregation, verifiable AI, rewarding, and orchestration. Just with these 4 building blocks, we can solve some of the most important problems of our generation. So that's how we're going to move from AI as an assistant to AI as an engineer and AI as a scientist. And I believe, unlike self-driving cars or what we are seeing with online LLMs, decentralization is what is really going to unlock the value. So I think that booth there should really say, talk to gods, in the plural, right? And actually, this comes very naturally to me because I come from India, and we have 330 million gods, one for every aspect of your life, right? So the notion of multi-god is something I grew up with. So there's a decentralization of gods already happening. So let's make global orchestration of decentralized AI. Thank you.